Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations.
Well, good morning to my beautiful coffee beans. Come on in. We've got a lot to go over in the Nancy Guthrie case this beautiful Thursday morning. Come on in. We are up at the butt crack of dawn.
One thought, have some concentration, and if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning to all my somniacs out there. Everybody's complaining about the time, but you fools are up. I'm just saying. Everybody all complaining up here about the time of morning it is, but look who all's up. You fools are up right along with this fool right here, so I don't want to hear it. I can't believe it. I can't believe we have this many people up at this time of morning. We haven't even crossed over 5 a.m. yet. Melanie's not even out of bed yet. She's getting up at 5. Which reminds me, we got to pray for over Melanie. Melanie got a nervous day today. So at the end of the day, she's not going to be up. She'll be in here shortly after she gets the crust out of her eyes, I'm sure. I don't know how the heck all you guys get these notifications in your sleep. Everybody's saying, it's only 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock over here. Well, don't know what to tell you. I don't know how you guys got the dings. I never hear anything. At night, I go to sleep. I fall asleep. I'm out like I don't know. I'm just out. Done. Anyways, guys, it's nice to see you. We're probably going to have a smaller crowd this morning because we're up. It's not even light outside right now, okay? I took Delilah out to use the bathroom in pitch black. And, of course, my orange cats that love me. Every time, because I got a bell on my door. They hear that bell. I don't know where they come from. But all of a sudden, you see one orange cat coming from one direction, another orange cat coming from another direction, and they're running. They're like, oh, we got to say hi. So I got all of my little loves today from Delilah, as well as the 2 orange cats that are outside that have adopted me. I have not adopted them. They are not my cats, but apparently I am their BFF, and they show it every single morning with the trot. Chee. And Boris, we did find out his name's Jaden. But Boris, he's got a fat pooch, so he runs his little pooch is just as he's running, he's like, oh, I gotta get there. She gotta be nice to me. If I'm nice to her, maybe she'll give me a little treat. I didn't give him a treat this morning, just to let you know. I know.
It's no fun being a burger man in a seafood town.
Just saying. Guys, we're talking about the case of Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. Nobody knows what happened. I hear... We hear the agony in Savannah's voice. I don't know if anybody that watched that I don't even know what it's going to be like for us when we get the whole kit and caboodle. That little snippet was breathtaking. This whole situation is so heartbreaking. Seeing Savannah visibly shaken by all this is really eye-opening. This is terrifying. And much of the stuff that I said in some of my lives, you got to understand this unknown. When people have unknowns of what happened to their loved one, the stuff that goes through their mind, it's enough to make you insane. So I know that she is going through all of this because she doesn't know what happened, but she did see a scary guy on the outside of her mom's home. And she can only imagine how terrifying that must have been for her mother. And I can't imagine being somebody like Savannah Guthrie, having all of these resources and still unable to help. It's got to be the most hopeless and helpless feeling that you've ever felt in your life. I mean, we all have that feeling, and many people that have, their children or family members have disappeared, all have that hopeless and helpless feeling because, they don't get this type of attention for their cases like Savannah did. But even with all this attention that Savannah got with her case, it doesn't appear that it moved the needle a whole lot, which is pretty stinking scary for the people that are down here watching this case unfold. Excuse me a second. I got seconds. Even though we're up at the butt crack of dawn, I don't even think it's the butt crack of dawn. I don't even think we've seen the butt crack yet. I'm just saying. It's still dark over here. I don't know about y'all. Some of you guys are over in Arizona. You're like, it's not even 2 o'clock yet, Betty. Then why the hell are you up? I'm just saying. I'm just speaking the obvious here. Don't be beating me up because I asked the question. You knew I was going to ask what you doing up so early. I know why I'm up early. I can't sleep. I sleep for a few hours and then I'm up. So, Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Teresa, good morning. Our beautiful, the real me too, that hasn't slept for 28 hours because she does have insomnia. Momo is like, this is an odd time for us, Betty. What you doing? You're giving us a little shock. Well, this is what happened. We have a bipolar case and you've got a bipolar commentator. I don't know what to tell you. It's rubbing off on the old bets. It's rubbing off. Winter is blue. It's nice to see you. Lisa B, it's nice to see you, love. Nice to see you. Casey, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. YouTuber is here. Bombastic. We got a lot of people up this morning. I don't know why you guys are up. Maybe you guys are just as crazy as me. The fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. The fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Chicky, it's nice to see you. Jewel, Sandwich. Wow, super early today. I'm here for it. It's nice. It's nice. Omaha, not even 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm 5. I'm 5. Momo's saying 1:52 here. I don't know why Mo's up, but hey, it's nice to see you, Mo. It's nice to see you. We love it. We love it. Candy's up in the house. Faye, look at all you. You get crazy cats. You crazy cats all up with me. Well, we definitely do have the warriors here. Definitely the morning warriors. Ortiz, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have? Julie, good morning. Aletha up at the butt crack. Look at all these people up at the butt crack of dawn. Downey, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Amanda, good morning. Faye, Robert, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Eeyore. Ty, it's nice to see you. This thing just popped up on me, so I probably missed a lot. I got 104 people. Are you guys feeling okay? Do we need to send you all to the doctor? I wondered if I should go to the doctor. No, I'm just joking. Kimberly, it's nice to see you. Taj, good morning. Debbie, Aletha, I think I said hi to you. The Givers and Takers. Oh, the Givers and Takers. It's nice to see you. Ty, good morning. Debbie, it's nice to see you. Bombastic, good morning. Gnome, Twisted Tails, good morning. Good morning. Lady Gray, it's nice to see you. Adrian, it's nice to see you. Good morning, loves. Good morning. Hello. I cannot believe you guys are up this early. Samuel, here, cheers to you guys. Well, we definitely keep you on your toes around here on the Bullhorn Betty Show. So, as you guys know, 84-year-old mom ripped from her home. We just heard from Savannah after her being quiet. And here's the thing, I know we don't want to acknowledge it, but we have to. We have to be fair. We have to apply reasonable expectations in all cases. And we're dealing with an extraordinary case here. Not one that's just baffling and not one that defies logic. We also have fame here too. Predominantly Savannah Guthrie. Many people, know her very, very well from the Today Show. And so it's not like a normal family that we are working with that has a missing loved one because of their notoriety. It complicates things. One, it complicates things for motive, right? Typically when we have a crime against anybody, whether it's an elderly person, a young person, a middle-aged person, or whatever it is. I like that. Can you guys see that? Maybe I don't know if I like that too much. I forgot I made some changes this morning. I did make some changes, but it's not sitting right on the changes. I made the changes to the comment block because I thought that you guys couldn't read it. I was having a hard time reading it. So I think I'm going to go back to the old way, make the print a little smaller. At least you got to see your names. This one cuts off the names to write the print. So I don't know how to fix that. So I'll try to fix the chat box up here at the top a little later. So we do have the ability to still pull our stuff up, and show the comments. So I'm happy about that. But as you guys see up here, I got bigger print so you guys could see it a little bit better for the comments. All right. So anyways, getting back to this, but we're dealing with somebody different. We're dealing with a notable family here, and it does complicate things. Typically when we have families, they can come out with us, they can show us the ropes, they can show us the area, and it's a really kind of a low profile event. But when you're dealing with somebody that has such a following like Savannah Guthrie, I think she has I'm sure she has millions of followers now that her mom disappeared on, like on Instagram and stuff like that. And I think she's got a good following on because she's a notable person. So it's not like Nancy Guthrie can just, it's not like Savannah Guthrie can just say, oh, let's go out and search for my mom like we did with Seth Rogers. Because now you're just inviting a whole bunch of creeps to come look with you just to be around Savannah Guthrie. So we have to deal with this. And I know that there's been a lot of kind of pushback on where's the family? And while I do agree, the family needs to be front and center in this situation because, people are looking to them for guidance. There's a lot of people out there still trying to help and keep this case in the spotlight. I do believe that Savannah Guthrie understands how this stuff works. I'm absolutely confident that she understands the minute that we stop talking about this case, those resources, those very, very strong resources she's getting, dry up. And I know the general public and even maybe the community members and leaders are unaware of that. So every time they try to push media or social media out, you're taking resources away from her being solved. And that's just the reality of the situation. And if you don't believe me, you can go ask ChatGPT and everything else. High-profile cases get a lot more resources than low-profile cases. Okay? It is just what it is. When all eyes are focused on a case, guess what? Law enforcement, the state law enforcement, the feds, the commissioners, the politicians, everybody is engaged because they have to be. The whole freaking world's watching. This is where you have to put your A game forward. She's of course she looks tired. Yeah, I agree, Candy. She's got to be exhausted. I got it. The stress and the anxiety and the unknown, it wears you down. And it's one thing that I try to, whenever I get involved, we don't have any contact with these people. Typically in some of these cases, we have contact. For example, in Sebastian Rogers' case, we had contact with his dad. We still maintain contact with his dad, and we have somebody that we can speak with. And every time I get with a family, one of the things I tell them up front is you need to really try. I know you're going to want to just run, and just do as much as you can, but you can't do that. You've got to take care of yourself now because you've got to prepare yourself for a duration. Everybody thinks that they just need to put 100% in. And they don't realize the reality of these things. These things can go on for years. And so I try to, at my very best, prepare the families that I'm working with. Once things settle down and Sebastian is found and we understand what happened, so I'm confident Seth will most likely talk about some of the things we talked about. And I got to tell you, one of the biggest things I told him is you've got to take care of yourself. You got to slow down. You got to take care of yourself, and you've got to rest. Things are only going to get worse from here. And that's the expectation, very grim expectation I give families going through this. And I do that because we've been around so much that we know that this stuff sucks the life out of you. Having a missing loved one is taxing financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just everything that you can possibly ever imagine. That is how bad it gets for a loved one missing a loved one. It doesn't matter whether you're a mom, a dad, or a best friend. When your loved one is missing, you grieve the loss of that loved one, whether they're dead or alive. So asking for prayers, please. Back L5 fusion surgery scheduled for April 8th. The pain has been difficult. I know, I've been fighting mine. I was talking to my neighbor, my lower back especially is crookeder than a freaking politician. And I wake up just about every day in pain. I don't want to say it's agony because, to be honest with you, I've lived with the pain for so many years. It's painful, but it's not debilitating. It used to be, but your body kind of adjusts. That's what people don't understand. Like even with pain, like people want to I don't use pain medication. I use over-the-counter OTC stuff. But what you'll find out is if you have severe pain, you don't really need any of that stuff. Your body will adjust to that pain over time. It will. It just does. The body's an amazing thing. So if you just give your body a chance, you'll find out how good and amazing it truly is. So I do feel pain, but it's not as bad as it once was. She looked tired. Savannah said herself she never sleep. Of course not. I mean, I'm going through stress. I haven't dealt with this stress for like 3 years, and I'm dealing with some stress that I didn't even welcome into my home, and it's here, And so the stress is affecting my sleep. The stress and the bullshit. So I can't. And this has nothing to do with a loved one being missing in my world. So I got to be honest with you. The anxiety, the stress, it does affect sleep. It does affect sleep. And I don't even know if meditation would help in this situation like this. Sometimes you just got to, just deal with it until you get through it. But it's sad, and we're going to get to that. She is in therapy, plus she has good friends. This is how family reacts with missing loved ones. They break out into crumbles and tears. Yeah, there's definitely a lot. There's definitely a lot, and we're definitely sorry. Let me put a little heart there. We're definitely sorry that you've got that surgery. But hey, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I had my next surgery is probably got to be redone too, because I noticed that when I turn it just right, it starts popping. And that's never a good sign. And I can feel that it's starting to, the actual equipment in there is failing. So I'm going to end up having to have another neck surgery at some point. I'm hoping I can keep my head on the swivel at least until I'm 65 and make the government pay for 80% of the surgery. I'm just saying, I'm trying. I'm waiting for the day. I did my service. I want my neck surgery. I just don't want to pay for it. I'm going to wait until I'm 65. I'm going to wait until I'm 65 and don't have any pre-existing condition problems. Just saying. Will I make it? Probably not. I probably will not make it. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into this. We know that she's in pain. I saw some people's comments, and I'm just going to say, I really hope that some people, I don't think they're from my chat, but I hope some people find a little grace for Savannah. Okay. She was in New York when this happened. She obviously had nothing. And I mean nothing to, hey, Anita, it's nice to see you, love. Bella, it's nice to see you. She had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with her mother's disappearance. I think that she is absolutely distraught. Every emotion that we expect to see in somebody we have seen in Savannah, and it's been heartbreaking to watch, to say the least. But when she's out here, it hurts my heart because, I love the deception detective, and I get his and we shouldn't dismiss the family. Now, we have to acknowledge that Chris Nanos has screwed up this entire investigation. Is it too far of a stretch that he maybe prematurely cleared some people? Of course it's possible. It's possible. I still want to believe that the family had nothing to do with it after everything that we've seen. However, the caveat with that is it feels if this person was hired, somebody had to hire this person. And who would that be? Now there's been some revelations that there's an electrician, there's a permit that was pulled shortly before this. And guys, I can tell you that one of the things that we've talked about was this person being an electrician or an installer of some sort. So hearing that we have an open permit for some electrical work at her house is giving me the EBGBs, because especially after hearing about the painter for Nancy Woodrum's case and her just feeding him some lunch, just being a good person, and then finding out that he ended up coming back in the middle of the night, awing her, bludgeoning her, murdering her, and then wrapping her in her own bed sheet and taking her out of the house over his shoulder. So a lot of similarities of what we think kind of may have happened, what may have happened to Miss Nancy Guthrie. However, it appears that there is a possibility of multiple people being involved. We've seen the assailant. We've seen what appears to be potentially a walkie-talkie in his pocket. It appears that we see some thin line that goes down his cheek under his ski mask, which may imply that he has a earpiece in. Somebody noticed that he hit something as he was at the front door. In his pocket, it appeared like, and that's what it does. Whenever you have a walkie-talkie, you don't even have to say anything. You just hit it and it go, crackles. So it was that for signal purposes and never even had to say a thing. It looked like when he was reaching out for the foliage, he was looking over and potentially even in the direction of Nancy's patio in the front of the house. We heard from a content creator that came over from mainstream media. And now she's a content creator here on YouTube. We heard from her, and she said that her law enforcement sources said that the the Nest cameras were smashed, and that there was forced entry into the back of the home. And then that forced entry in the back of the home, it has changed to the back door was left open. There is no evidence of any of those statements being accurate. And then we hear Chris Nanos speaking about, women and people leaving their sliding glass doors open or cracked at night to get a cool breeze. So then we started looking around the house to find out where the sliding glass doors are. And lo and behold, we learned that the sliding glass doors are on the front of her home, on the side. So over here, right up here, right past the guy, right where my finger is, right there. Those are sliding glass doors. This is where the assailant came in. This is the sliding glass doors right here. The assailant only needed to walk down this front walk and then over that mini wall, and he would have been right into Nancy Guthrie's master bedroom. He didn't need to go in the backyard. They didn't need to do any weird shit in the backyard to get Nancy. We know this person cased out the joint. We know this person was looking and trying to identify her floor plan. I believe that whoever did this saw that area there. If this person was from the construction site, they had a perfect line of sight. As a matter of fact, some people see a glow in the background, and people are saying that that's a car. And I'm thinking, wait, we can see a car in that driveway. If the headlights were on that car in the driveway, we would have seen them. And this is kind of even further in the back, and it's like a glow. And many people think it's this construction job up here. This construction job up here, they leave their lights on because they're leaving equipment and other stuff there. And actually, we also heard that this construction site might actually have some surveillance set up on it because they leave their equipment there. So definitely something that we may want to consider as we're, digesting this particular case. So let's go ahead and get on into, oops, I forgot to set up my screen. Sorry about that. It happens. So let's go over Savannah Guthrie's statements, or this is just like a trailer where they're only giving you a snippet of the overall. I've also seen some people have things to say about Savannah doing all this with her company. This is Savannah's family. This is Savannah's work family. This is what they do. If she's going to give an interview with anybody, it's going to be the people that she trusts the most. She works next to these people day in and day out. And I know that there is some distaste because I'm reading the comments. There are some distaste with NBC having direct access to the sheriff and them having direct access to Savannah and the financial gain that they are having because of this case and monopolizing this case because the sheriff's not really talking to any other news organization. And I know that that is really starting to wear on mainstream media, but it's also starting to leak into people's theories of why they think this family might be corrupted. And I don't think that's really fair. I'm not saying that those are my opinions or anything. We're just having a conversation about it because I've read about it. And I don't want people starting to turn on this family because of this monopoly and it appearing that NBC is using this to profit off of, and everybody needs to, at the end of the day, you guys know me, I'm a capitalist. I don't really, when it comes to people have to eat, people have to put food on their tables. I'm not one of these people that pocket watch anybody. Okay. But there are people that do, and sometimes those people can, cause additional issues and additional stresses that these cases sometimes just don't need. And that's the only thing I'm concerned about here, is because I am starting to see that disgruntledness. I am starting to see some of that jealousy. And I am starting to see some serious concern as well. Okay. Not just that these are all, people just being jealous and trolls and just all around just nasty people. I mean, we're talking about people that have legitimate concerns on what's going on here, especially in light of many people are not really happy that Chris Nanos has cleared the family, specifically Tommaso. So there's so many people, and again, I think it's because of in our own minds we feel like it has to fit. But I'm a reasonable person, and I know that law enforcement looks always at the path of least resistance. I know that they do. We watch them do that. And even though that Chris Nanos has been a basket case on this investigation and has turned this thing into a shit show, literally a shit show, it's hard for us to reconcile that Tommaso wasn't the last person to see her. That's the problem. Every time I break anybody down, because you always want to find the root cause. And so that's what I keep looking for, because I feel like some of these things, there's a root cause why people think that he is. And I'm not disputing, one way or another. I personally do not think that anybody in this family is involved. I haven't really personally thought that anybody in this family is involved for a variety of reasons. One, I do a lot of investigative work here. I've researched a lot of different cases. There's certain things I expect to see in people's histories, and I just wasn't finding those here. Does that mean that they had nothing to do with it? Of course not. But it is my kind of my metric. Okay, it is my metric, my internal metric on identifying persons of interest and suspects. Could any person in the family be a suspect? Of course, because we know that, families have a habit of hurting each other the most. People that love each other have, additional feelings that you don't have for the normal population out there. When you have a child, a mother, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, you have real emotion, real heartfelt emotion involved in those things. And sometimes that can inspire, people to act in ways they would not normally act. And that's what we call like the passion, whatever it is, when they do things out of character because they're in love or whatever the case may be, So let's get on with this. This is Savannah Guthrie. This is the tidbit of information that they gave her, or that she gave Hoda in this interview.
Tonight, an anguished Savannah opening up in her first interview nearly 8 weeks since her mother Nancy's shocking abduction.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
Yeah.
We are in agony.
Somebody said she was not crying. I can promise you you don't need to blow it up very much to see the tears streaming down her face. Or the snot, that when you start inflaming those tear ducts, it loosens up something in the nasal cavity as well, and you start having, this nasal stuff. So she had both. She was definitely grieving here. Okay, I don't know whose thought are like, oh, she's so fake. There was not even any tears. And I'm like, I moved it just a little bit, and I'm like, you can see them just streaming down her face. I'm like, I don't know who's saying this, but we keep 2 pit bulls and a gun. My sleep patterns are shit, so I think we're ready made. That's funny. That's funny. Christine, good morning. We admire 857. Yeah, and I heard, listen, I don't, I'm sure that 857 Tucson is probably sleeping right now. He's not as crazy as some of you cats from Arizona that it's in the chat right now. But I noticed that he went, I didn't see what happened. I just caught the last end of it, or a statement or a post from him that was just apologizing to his audience. My message is this to 85, don't apologize to your audience. Once you start getting into the work of listening to your audience and only your audience, you're going to be making a terrible decision. If you choose to go to a restaurant and they don't like it, they don't have to like it. You do you. You do you. You don't change what you're doing because you might get a little heat for it. I don't know what happened to it, but I know 857 Tucson, he lives in the area first and foremost. He's going to go to restaurants, whether they're involved or not. I doubt I don't know. I'm assuming he must have wanted to go to El Charro or something like that. And I only got a little sliver of what happened. So I'm kind of speaking off the cuff without a lot of information, but my message is very clear. You want to be out there and you want to, show your audience around and stuff, but when you start letting them make decisions for you, that is a bad everybody in my audience knows that they have their opinions, but they don't tell me what to do. It is a standing thing, like, don't tell me what to do. Yeah, I saw that too, his apology. I was work, so I didn't see what happened either. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Don't apologize to your audience when you've done nothing wrong, okay? I don't care if their freaking feelings are hurt. If you did nothing wrong and you did not intend then it's a them problem, not a you problem. I'm not apologizing for living my life because somebody doesn't like where I go. If you don't like where I go, get bent. Bye. If you want to be here for the ride, be here for the ride. But the thought that somebody can tell somebody else what to do, it's just irritating. It's so irritating. I think people need to realize their limits on here. That's for the audience as well. That's for the audience as well. No apologies. You be you. Exactly. And he doesn't seem like the guy that would intentionally go and row people up. So for anybody to yell at him for anything after everything he's done for this case and for all of the audience out there that's been watching, I just think it's bullcrap. So hopefully he realizes his audience is there to learn from the stuff he's showing, but he does not owe his audience a damn thing. They come there. It's a privilege to be in his chat, and he needs to start owning it just like that. And if you guys are audience, you guys need to be a little more graceful. And if you're not, then I consider you trolls. If you expect grace for yourself, but don't show it to somebody else, you're an asshole. Okay. And it's just plain and simple. Just saying.
It is unbearable. Mm-hmm.
How many people that do believe this is about Savannah believe that this is exactly what whoever did this wanted? Because somebody had said that to me, and I thought, when I was seeing this and I was seeing her pain, I wondered that myself. Is this person really, did they just do this to hurt her? Because there's got to be a theory in here, because she is well known. That this has nothing to do with her mother and has to do with her. But there also has to be a theory that this has nothing to do with Savannah and has everything to do with something her mother did, not did, like she's the reason why, but dealt with, this is somebody connected just to her mom, not to her. I don't know, but it seems like when I was watching this, it seems like we don't have any reason for somebody to take her mom out. I think it was a hit. Like somebody ordered this, but what if it wasn't? What if it was just people that just absolutely hated Savannah for whatever reason and just wanted to torment her? And seeing this is exactly what they wanted. They didn't want money. They didn't want her mother to survive. They wanted this right here. It's just I don't know. It's just, I feel like this has nothing to do with Savannah, but seeing her in so much pain, it seems like somebody might be grappling over, or excited about the pain that they've inflicted upon her. As twisted and messed up as that sounds, I mean, people are just twisted and messed up in this world. not everybody. I mean, thank God it's not the majority of people like this. It's only a very small sector of people, but look how much damage this small sector of criminals and thugs do. I mean, who would do this to an 84-year-old grandmother and mother? I don't know.
And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror. And it is unthinkable, but those thoughts demand to be thought.
Yeah.
And I will not hide my face.
And it's also
But
that
she needs to come home now.
This just a portion.
it's also that spot there where she said, I will not hide my face. There was just some statements in there that were still pretty cryptic to me. You know, it's like we've been dealing with somebody, or, you know, the whole ransom that many of us kind of didn't. Oh, aloha. Hey, JH. It's nice to see you, love. But it just, like, when she was doing the ransom stuff, you know, she was working with the FBI, and the FBI kind of wrote scripts for her, so to speak, to draw these people out. And she sounded very cryptic in some of those messages. And then, you know, we could tell when she kind of took over and quit talking to the assailant. But even now, as she's talking to Hoda, it sounds like she's back to some cryptic messaging. Like, you know, we need to think about the unthinkable. You know, it needs to be thought about. What does she mean by unthinkable? What does she mean by I will not hide my face? You know, there's reasons why she said these things. What is she thinking? Who wants her to hide her face? Does anybody get those types of questions? Like, that line is probably from a movie just like the rest. It might be, but see, the problem is that when she was making those statements for ransom, that was the FBI's. That wasn't her. That was the FBI. So is she still working with the FBI, or are these her statements? And if these are her statements, what do they really mean? Hey, the other Sharon. So awful. I can't imagine. I know. But to be honest with you, I've thought of the terror this poor little lady went through. I mean, it's, and I'm not related to this lady. It's rough. It's rough to think of how terrified a woman that's lived in her house for decades, has felt safe, raised 3 children in this home. Safe. Never had a problem. Her children are grown. Never had a problem. And she goes and has a wonderful dinner with her daughter. She comes home. Everything's normal. Until somebody is ripping her out of her bed. The FBI, thank God the FBI is still involved. They're not letting Chris Nanos handle this case by himself. I'm sorry. That Nanos guy is just, I can't. I literally can't. My blood boils every time I think of this case in Chris Nanos. It literally makes my blood boil, folks. I'm not gonna lie. Hide her face means it hurts and she needs to go back to work. That probably, yeah, I didn't think of it like that. You're probably right. Made waffles and bacon and sausage with biscuits. Well, hell! Where's mine? I want some. That sounds good. How many wants baby loves biscuits? Waffles with biscuits. I don't know. I want it all. Now you're making me hungry. Creepy, that neighborhood too. Just really shocking. It's very shocking. I think it's shocking to the civilized country how people would be willing to live in dark and no internet service in today's society with their doors wide open. Like, if they didn't think it was creeping in their area, ding dong, it's here, right? Knock, knock. It is now here. So this living in the dark and leaving doors open and stuff for this area is done. They've got to figure something else out. This is not working. And they don't need to wait until another lady is missing. We had a lady, an elderly lady missing that looked almost similar to Miss Nancy Guthrie, that was like 3 or 4 hours, maybe 2 hours or something away from her. We talked about it briefly yesterday. The lady's much younger, about 69 years old versus 84 years old. But again, she has a lot of similar features that Miss Nancy Guthrie has. It's just a little ironic. They said they believe she left on foot. Is it because they've got another hunky bunk frickin' sheriff that doesn't know that they've got a crime scene, or did she really just walk away and never come back? And then of course we learn again. I've got to report it, but I don't like reporting it. I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't. I don't like reporting Ashley Banfield's stuff right now. I think she needs to find her footing here on social media. I don't think she's quite found her footing here on social media. I don't want to keep dogging on Ashley Banfield because, we've got to, at some point, the true crime community just has to accept her. She's one of us, and we don't club each other over the freaking head. But it's getting to the point where I'm worried. Wait, she's speaking to the napper as if it was her they were trying to hurt by taking Nancy. That's kind of what I was getting out of it, Sandwich. It just like some of her statements seemed weird. And then when you go over the deception detective, and let's be honest, I love the deception detective. He's unapologetic. He tells you what he means, how he thinks. He's the professional. He's trained in statement analysis and deception, and he just sees the world a little different than average Joes do because he's been trained to see the world a little different. And he's not buying it. I will be honest with you. He's still all into either Cameron or Annie. And I know what he's saying. He's keeping Cameron and Annie and Tommaso all kind of grouped together because in all fairness, he hasn't been able to evaluate them well. But the only person he's been able to evaluate really is Savannah, because the other people haven't made any statements. They haven't disputed. Like, we've heard nothing from Cameron coming out to say that, to dispute the stuff going on with Tommaso, outside of Savannah going out and holding Tommaso while they laid flowers there, which was a good indicator, let's be honest, that she loves him and she trusts him and trusts that he has nothing to do with this. But at the end of the day, when we're dealing with stuff like this and it feels so personal and we don't know why it has that personal feeling, at the end of the day, statistics tell us it's somebody close to this lady, right? There are a few outliers. I feel like this is going to be one of those outlier situations for me personally. But, at the end of the day, we really hold on to our statistics, and our statistics is going to tell us that this is somebody that's known to Nancy. How close is this known person to Nancy? Is this family, or is this somebody that worked with her or worked for her? Or is this somebody she just happened to come in contact with and she didn't even know she was in danger? I really, really, really don't know what we're dealing with here. I just know it defies logic. I know that no matter what we try to fit in this hole, it's not fitting. The burglary and robbery gone wrong, it comes close, but it just doesn't fit, this person wanted ransom. It comes close. It just doesn't fit. This person, this was nothing that we can fit into this. There's always this flip side to it. And then you've got the elephant in the room of, where the hell is Nancy? Where is Nancy? Now, if you can't walk out in the desert, are these assailants really going to be going out there and disposing of stuff in the desert? Probably not. People in their mentality usually go and act within their comfort zones. This was a little bit different because this was a planned event. We could tell it was a planned event because we have enough evidence to support that this was a targeted, planned event. Many people are starting to come around to it being multiple people. We've had early on in this case, we've had people come into our chat saying we need to look at this angle, but nothing was really fitting for this angle, and now it is. And so now we're looking at this case like it, like there's multiple people, a concerted conspiracy type of action here. And why? We still can't figure out the why. Is it because somebody needs the money? And that's what keeps people hooked, is they keep believing that Tommaso and Annie need this money, but we're hearing their house was paid off. And if their house was paid off, then they're not struggling to make a mortgage payment. So where's their financial problems coming from? These are the things that, that are real legitimate questions and concerns about people's statements of these families, because these are the statements that are keeping people looking at Tommaso and Annie as, culprits in this. And there was a piece of me that believes that it was possible, even though I was hopeful it wasn't. And I've been honest about that. We did look at that angle, but it was still just a hard pill for me to swallow. And I kept expressing that to my audience, so much so that some of the people started yelling at me until they were publicly cleared by the sheriff. And then they came back around and kind of calmed down a little bit and started realizing, that we need to kind of work together on this, that I'm not totally off base. I'm not closed-minded. I'm just, I'm used to seeing certain things that I'm not seeing with these two people. And that's the problem I'm having. Does it mean that they're completely out? No, I'm not the one that cleared them. The sheriff did. So I'm just working in the environment that we have and that we have before us. So is Tommaso cleared? He is cleared. And not only cleared, but they provided blood. They let law enforcement into their home. Their area was canvassed multiple times. And they passed lie detector tests, from my understanding, with flying colors. And I'm pretty sure they've asked them about, this was, from my understanding, after the masked gunman. And so they would have had to ask them if they knew anything about this masked gunman or anything related to it. They in order to hire somebody, you've got to have money to pay them. Where's that money coming from? Well, there should be some type of ominous record out there that shows something that, that was for the pool guy, or, something, or you see, $1,000 a week for the last 10 weeks taken out of the bank account. And then all of a sudden, after she disappears, that money stops. There's records, there's ways to prove that somebody's purchasing. You're not going to get something like this done if you're hiring somebody without giving them money. Okay, this guy is not going over there to plan a damn thing until he gets either the majority of his money up front, or half or the majority of his money up front. Then he's going out there to look at it. So you've got some type, and this person's not going to be meeting with a person. They're not going to be taking cash from the person or getting in a car where they can be recorded. No, they're going to do this anonymously now online, because we got the ways to do it now in our built into our systems, that people can communicate anonymously without knowing who each other are. So you're going to have, no matter how you look at it, you have that digital imprint. And think about a case is going on right now. It's Chris Preciado. They're not airing it. We're not going to be able to watch that trial online, so we're not going to do the trial. So whatever. But at the end of the day, Matthew Guerra, he was a drug dealer. He was a thug, okay? He was kind of mini kingpin kind of guy, right? He was selling large quantities of substances through the Telegram app. They could purchase drugs off the Telegram app. You didn't need to go to the black market or the dark web. You had Instagram, which is well known, and Telegram, which is well known. And people he had substances, guns, stacks of cash sitting on it. He had photos of his arsenal of substances, whatever you want to buy, literally listed right there. You could see it. Nobody even looked at it, not once, from the police, or even started tracking him from the police on these programs until after he was dead. And after he was dead, that's when we found out that he was slinging drugs on the internet. So if somebody can literally move that type of weight through Telegram and Instagram, you cannot tell me that there's not somebody selling services to, someone for you. You can't tell me that. So could this person have been purchased? To me, the answer is yes. But there are some things that lead me to believe that this person is local, that this person targeted her for an unknown reason. And if we find out that this is the electrician and this electrician acted alone, I certainly believe that he was there to sexually assault Miss Guthrie. I believe that if this person is acting alone, because listen to this. This is one other thing that we still need to discuss. I have an old, I think this was bought for me maybe 5 or so years ago. I know the technology has changed quite a bit since then. Oh, there she is. Good morning. Good morning. I told everybody you wouldn't be up until 5. We would see you to pray for you until we see you. So it's nice to see you, Melanie. She says, good morning, Betty, and everyone just popping in before my appointment. Just wanted to thank you for the prayers. I appreciate all of you. Aw, thank you. We appreciate you too, love. We appreciate you too. But this is my, the police scanner I have, right? This is the police scanner I have. So, let me unlock it. There we go. Scanning. Search. So these are the police scanners that I have, right? Lets me move all over the place. Let's just scan all over the place to find out if we have one. Let me turn it off. Mines are up in the 400s, and it's going to take forever to get to the 400s. But either way, this is this, and you see how long this antenna is. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is the only product on the market. Could something look different than this and be a police scanner? Could it be a police scanner in the pocket of the assailant? That's the only other thing, because even a police scanner, they do have these ports for headphones. Okay, so that means you can put headphones on these and use it much like a walkie-talkie, but it's not a walkie-talkie. It is actually a police scanner. So they can be listening to see if anybody is calling law enforcement while they're trying to hurt someone or get someone out of the house. Could they have acted alone, and because they have a police scanner, we think it's a walkie-talkie? Now, granted, this has a pretty tall antenna on mine, but this is a Bearcat. This is a Uniden Bearcat, okay? They've got to make different type of police scanners that may not have this big old hunky antenna on it. And if they have one that has an antenna down here that's a little fatter, well, we might be looking at a police scanner versus a walkie-talkie. So I think it's important that we identify that, because I truly believe if we can identify that this man acted alone and he was there alone and nothing was stolen and he was in that house for 40-something minutes, you bet your ass I believe she was AR'd. And I believe she was hurt as a result of that assault onto her persons, because they found a walkie-talkie in the desert, didn't they? I don't know. I didn't hear that. Sandwich. I don't know. If you find out whether they did or not, please. I know that there was something they found, but it was it was stuff for microphones. It was something from a media person. It wasn't a walkie-talkie like the only thing I heard was a very expensive, I can't remember what it's called, but it wasn't the actual microphone. It was the thing that the transmitter. Like, you can't use the microphones without the transmitter. And it looked like the transmitter of the microphones. and a very high dollar transmitter. But I don't think it looked like it was for news organizations. It looked like a high dollar news organizational mic type of apparatus, not, yeah. I think if we can, and that would explain why he had the earpiece in, because he doesn't want anybody hearing the radio. He wants to be able to hear it. And so he would have that. So that could also explain that, and still have him act alone, because as soon as I realized Nancy's bedroom and the entry point is on the front side of the house, just feet away from where we saw this assailant, I determined immediately, could this guy act alone? And yes, the answer is yes, he could. And listen, this might be another thing. If for any reason, this might be where we're getting some mistakes or assessing it inaccurately, because we see him turn his head when he's reaching down for the shrubbery. Yet we're seeing a light in the background that people believe might be a vehicle moving. What if he was acting alone? And what if he realized a car was moving and turned his head to see what was going on versus actually speaking to someone? We can't hear anything on that camera. They did not give us audio with that camera. They only gave us a little bit of images and not the full video for that segment, right? We could discern that some things were cut off. It appeared prematurely. It seemed like the video feed, they were different. If they were both the same limit, like 5 seconds each, I would say okay, but one's one time frame and one's another time frame, so that tells me that they intentionally cut one of the videos off intentionally. So if they're cutting the videos off intentionally, that's telling me that there's something probative there that they don't want the public to see. That's what it's telling me. So I'm curious if this person, because we're still trying to find out the why. And as soon as we find out the why, we can figure out who the who is, right? And so this is where it comes down. Was there multiple people or was there a single person? If there was a multiple people, my strongest theory so far is this was a hired hit. If this was a single person, I believe the motivation was rape. That would explain everything. The rape scenario really does explain everything. I don't want to think of that happening to Miss Nancy Guthrie, but we also know that it's not unknown. It's not impractical. It's not something that doesn't happen literally daily to elderly people. So I'm not willing to dismiss it. I'm not willing to dismiss that a younger person would be willing to do something like that. I'm still not willing to dismiss. I mean, God forbid if Luke Daly is not a person of interest in this case. I feel really terrible for him. But, in all fairness, he needs to show grace too, because he's the one that did it to himself, okay? If he had not had such a terrible background and he was not up moving around doing all kinds of shenanigans, which I believe he must have been if he got caught up in a sweep or it means he was moving around at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't even have a job. There's no business for you to be running around at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night when you should be home trying to worry about getting yourself a job and getting up out of your mama's house. Okay, just my perspective. People don't like my perspective when it comes to children, because I refuse to say that adult children should live at home with their mommy and daddy. No, they should not. They need to be adults. They need to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. And I think that parents do a disservice to their children. They think they're helping them, but they are not. They are doing a disservice to their children by constantly not allowing them to grow up. Cut the umbilical cord, parents, because you're the problem, not the children. Your children are a product of you. If you have adult children that are not in college, they need to be standing on their own 2 feet. Well, he can't afford an apartment. None of us could freaking afford an apartment. You know what we did? We got with a few friends. We got ourselves an apartment. We moved out of our mommy and daddy's house. Hell, back in my day, we couldn't wait to get the hell out of our parents' house. You guys are doing something wrong if your children don't hate you and want to run from you the minute they get 18. You ain't being parents, you're being friends. Stop it. Stop it. Kick them out of the, bum chuck them out of the house. My parents were celebrating. They're like, hell yeah, woo! She's no longer our problem. Mommy, I need to come back home. What? I got to save for a house. How long is that going to be? I don't know. Come on back. No, I'm just joking. My mom didn't do this. She's like, come on back, honey. We'd love to have you here. I was the one like, do I really got to go stay at mom's house? Please, I'm an adult now. I don't want to be back at my mommy and daddy's house. No! Got to stand on their own 2 feet. Listen, you got to be there when they fall, right? That's what your job is. So when they fall flat on their face, you're there to dust them off, pick them back up, and put them right back out there to learn the next time, right? It's all about life lessons. Let your children find the life lessons. Let them find their own path, okay? Once you get them where they need to be, you get them through college, it's time to boot them on their way. If they can't afford an apartment, you know what? If you couldn't remember that you couldn't afford an apartment back when they were your age, what did you do? You got with a bunch of friends. If you have money like that, buy them a freaking house and have them rent their rooms out to pay their own damn mortgage if you really want to be helpful. But one thing you can't do is have them all up in your... It's time for you guys to have your life, okay? You've raised kids. You're going to have grandkids coming soon enough, so you might as well enjoy your time out. You might as well enjoy your few-year vacation, okay? Think about it. I want you guys to put, vacation. No screaming kids, no bitching kids, no washing their clothes, their dishes, or having to cook dinner for them for a few... yeah! Come on, guys. Think positively. Think negatively. Think positively. I will tell you, just like many of you, I had to fall on my face a few times as an adult, right? We all have to fall on our face a few times as an adult. Let your children become adults, okay? That's just my message. So, getting back to Ashley Banfield, not a fan. I mean, I'm coming around to Ashley. Like, I don't want to be mean to another content creator. It's just, I don't like it. You know, when she's mainstream media, it's a little different. I don't mind beating the crap out of mainstream media. I just have a problem beating the crap out of our, you know, unless they're really, really horrible and aren't real true crime content creators. I try my hardest to be inclusive and acceptance of all good people trying to do the right thing. And so, you know, she's one of us and we've just got to accept her. Okay. She made the decision to come over here. I want to make sure that we are not too overly critical of her. Okay. But I'm not really pleased with the whole source thing. Okay. Not that I don't think she has the source. It's just that so far the source has only been about 50% accurate. So I'm not really all into the source because they've only been about 50% accurate. But you know, now she's saying her source is saying that there's a pattern of blood through the house, but just right on the outside of that door. And I have to think the blood drops had to have come from her room through the living room to the front door, but that's not what we're hearing. We're hearing that there was this dripping pattern on the other side of the door, but she couldn't tell us where it really led to, which doesn't sound right. When you have a source close to the investigation, you would think that they would be able to tell you where those drops go to or lead to or end. But either way, again, I'm trying to work through this. It's just that I'm having a hard time with the sources, okay? And I'm having a hard time getting to their conclusion with the information that we have. So either way, let me just get back to our conversation. According to Ashley Banfield, there is, blood found inside the Guthrie, Arizona home. And her channel is Drop Dead Serious. She says a source told her the blood was discovered just inside the front door and that its pattern may match what investigates. She always says may. That's what keeps her out of legal hot water is that word right there, may. So she's able to say whatever she wants as long as it's possible, right? She doesn't have to say it's a fact because it may. It may match. So that's how she keeps herself out of legal hot water. It's the words that she uses. Like I said, word salad. I don't like it. I like being very direct, but people need word salad. So this is where I just don't like the statements that we're getting. So, and she says the pattern may match what investigators found outside of the house. The details. See, that's where I'm saying people are making calculated guesses at this point. I don't think that this is a legitimate source that's close to this investigation at all. I think it's somebody that might have common knowledge of law enforcement protocols and are making calculated guesses on what's happening and what is probably going on in that home. I don't think this is somebody that knows. I think this is all speculative. The detail, if confirmed, could offer investigators a clearer picture of what unfolded in the moments surrounding Guthrie's disappearance. My sources told me on day 3 there was blood found inside the home. Well, no shit. I can tell you the day that we covered this case, what did we tell you? Does anybody remember what I told you? We realized that they had the homicide investigators there on day 1. What did I say? I guarantee there's blood inside that home. Who remembers me saying that, like, on day 2 of this investigation? Like, if you were watching me on day 2 or day 3 of this investigation and you heard me make those statements, like, over a month ago, we're in 2 months. Like, this happened 2 months ago. If you guys remember making those statements like 2 months ago, put a hand in the chat. Put one of those pink hands in the chat if you remember me saying that, because I've said it multiple times throughout this investigation, because I keep going back to the homicide investigators being at that house immediately. I want to see some pink hands up in the chat if you guys heard me say that I almost guarantee that there is blood inside that house, because what would have them go straight from major crimes right to the homicide investigators bringing them into the house? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. That and I even told you that. You know what that tells me? That tells me there's blood in the house. I don't need to be a rocket science to say that there is blood in that blessed house. There's blood in that house. What other why would they bother calling homicide investigators if there was zero blood and just a missing person? It's semen. It could be. It could be. We believe that there is possibility of a sexual assault scenario here. And the more and more I'm looking at this, I got to be honest with you. I'm bouncing back and forth. I'm bouncing back and forth with whether it's 2 people or 1 person. And so now I'm covering my ass on both scenarios. If it's a single person, this is what I feel. If it's multiple people, this is how I feel. This case is going. And these are my top things, my top theories. But at the end of the day, this stuff here is reasonable calculation, okay? This is not a source. I didn't have to tell you a source told me. I concluded myself. You don't have to bring up fake sources. You can walk the people through the information and tell them why you came up with this theory. I'd rather people, I don't have sources. Occasionally I got a source or somebody that reaches out, like Kylie Rodney, right? We had that girl that was being a picture was taken. I can't remember how it was because it's been so long ago, but I remember we had one of the girls in a photo in a car, and everybody was trying to pass it off as being Kylie. And the girl reached out to Chronicles of Olivia, and Chronicles and I interviewed this lady, and Chronicles prepared a statement. We had to modify her voice because she didn't want to be known, but she was one of the girls that had the lines through her eyes that everybody was trying to show as this being Kylie. Look at how she's partying. She was in the back seat with like 3 or 4 different other girls. It wasn't her. It was a completely different person. So we had our sources where we could not disclose those sources, but you knew it was a human being because we put this human being's voice, modified voice, to tell her side of the story. So, but we didn't say, oh, we have this unknown source that says this girl's not who she says. We made her come on and explain where she was, what she was doing, and everything like that. And we did have the original photos, so we did know it was her friend's photo. We also was able to see her face because we took the photo they had, didn't have all the blurs and stuff in it. So we were able to see that, yes, that's her. It's her face. It's her photo. And this is not Kylie Rodney. So we did the story. We did the story and we kept her confidential. I don't think she stayed confidential, but we did our best on our end to keep her confidential when we did that. So I do understand the purposes of having, people you can't bring up or provide their name. But I don't believe that you can't provide a little more meaningful detail, and I just try to stay as much as possible, stay away from sources. A lot of people reach out to me by email. And so, I receive an email. I talk about the emails that I received. We discuss them here. But I don't, I never put a fact behind it, because that's where you always get yourself in trouble. And that's what got Ashley Banfield in trouble, because she ran to the finish line and tried to accuse Tommaso when it wasn't him. She didn't wait for all the facts to drop before she had the need to tell her theory. And now she's having to walk a lot of that theory back, and it's a very uncomfortable situation for her, because she's going out of her way to try to acknowledge her source, which her source was 50% wrong. That's not a good source. And so hearing you say that you have an impeccable source and they're only 50% right, where are they getting their information from? They either are legit or they're not legit. And if they're legit, then we shouldn't be having facts that are coming out that do not factually match up with the facts of the case. That tells me something's not right there, and I'm not going to change my position on that. We don't like that on these platforms, and I just want to make sure everybody is well aware of that, So I want to get back to, we know that there is blood in the house. We know that we have a lot of different stuff going on here. We did listen to some of this stuff yesterday, but this is about the blood, and we kind of rushed through it, so I want you guys to hear it again. Let me get that out. And then I want you to hear this. We're also going to be talking about Chris Nanos' recall efforts and some of the positions and some more details that are very shocking that Chris Nanos did. And it really does show how horrible this man is. And it also pisses me off that he has no integrity, that he got busted, and he still refuses to resign and do what is right. He would have never been able to make it to sheriff if any of this had come out. And now he's sitting there enjoying this salary, screwing up all these cases, and still refusing to resign when he's caught lying under oath, perjury, learned about his horrible disciplinary record that left a man in the ICU. This man should never have been sheriff. He should have been in jail. And I'm going to actually go a step further. I think that the FBI needs to reopen the investigation on him that they closed out and chose not to indict him. And it is time, if he's not willing to do the right thing, it is time for the feds to go and arrest him and charge him with whatever they needed to charge him with before that they chose not to. They had a case. They allowed it to drop. It came short. They can now build that case, make it stronger, and go after Sheriff Nanos. And that's what they need to do. That is my opinion. They've got enough there. This is a criminal, not a sheriff. And they need to start treating him as such.
After today. So let me get you to the meat of the reporting that I got today, that my sources got, and that is that the blood continues inside the house at that front entrance, inside.
I just wanted you guys to hear it. We're going to go through it. Yes, we are, because her sources, her impeccable sources. I'm sorry. I told you guys weeks ago that there's blood inside this home. Okay, now that we're done.
The front entrance, not just outside the front entrance of her home, over the threshold of her front door and into the front entrance of Nancy Guthrie's home, and what that story might tell us. But
what you bet that there's blood stretching all the way to her bedroom, and this is once again, I don't know if it goes any further than this. Well, you have that secret source. Shouldn't he be able to tell you where it goes? Just saying.
Also, what the blood drops that we can see, which both Michael Ruiz and Brian Enton, Michael Ruiz from Fox Digital and Brian Enton from News Nation, were able to videotape with their own eyes. I think 38, 48 hours after the crime scene was just let go, right? And actually, crime scene was let go 30 hours or so after the disappearance. By the time that Brian Enton and Michael Ruiz were able to videotape, I think it was like Tuesday. So, 2 to 3 days after Mrs. Guthrie disappeared and the crime scene was released, the reporters were able to at least witness the blood pattern the blood spatter pattern at the front door, but we don't see it inside the house. So
And that spatter that people think is a sneeze, if for any reason she was hoisted up into something, is it possible that that's from something smacking against a pool of blood? You know, I don't know.
I spoke to Dr. Peter Valentin, again, of the University of New Haven, who's an expert in blood spatter, about what the blood tells us that he can see and what the information tells us that my source has told us about the blood inside.
Hey,
and what it
Danielle.
tells us about the crime. And what he has to say is fascinating. Dr. Valentin, what do you make of, first of all, just the overarching information that we've learned, and that is that the blood droplet pattern that we've all seen outside Nancy's front door continues over the threshold and inside her front entrance, but that...
I agree with you, Ty, because here's the issue. When you have an investigation that's a criminal investigation, one that you invited the homicide detectives in, you typically don't want to leave anything that can produce any type of evidentiary value for the public. So that means after they took their pictures and everything else, that's why it was so important that they vacuum that area, because typically you don't leave the blood out there for people to see for news. Like, I don't know what Chris Nanos was thinking. This is a high profile person. This is Savannah Guthrie's mother. You open up the crime scene and leave the blood droplets there. Did you not think the news crews were going to go up and knock on that door, which they have a right to do as a news as media? Anybody, and this just doesn't apply to media, this applies to the public at large. Every person has a right to walk up a driveway and walk to somebody's front door and knock on that front door. Everybody has a right to do that. So as soon as you release a crime scene, everybody knows that what does media do? They go knock on the door to find out if anybody's there that's going to be willing to talk to them about what just happened. So it just, I don't know what this man was thinking. I just don't know what he was thinking when he opened that crime scene and left evidence visible for the public. That was evidence that was visible to the public. That's the one thing you do not want to do. So on one hand, he's in the things that, I got an integrity of the investigation I've got to uphold. Well, you weren't upholding it when you left that blood spatter there. You just gave everybody, the entire public, a look at evidence, at real hard, cold evidence that would be absolutely part of this investigation and absolutely part of the trial. And you left it there for everybody to see. So I agree with you, Ty. That was distasteful at the very least. And improper.
That's it. That's it for blood spatter, for blood droplets, for blood evidence in this crime scene.
They don't,
So
it's not about cleaning up the crime scene.
Droplets is that
It has nothing to do with cleaning up the crime scene. They don't clean up crime scenes. But they also are not to leave evidence laying out for the public, the general public. So there is, at minimum, they should have had somebody come clean that front walkway up because of the evidentiary value. They should have, well, first and foremost, they should have never opened up the crime scene that quickly. And moreover, they should have sprayed down that walkway, because you got to remember, every time there's a shooting out on a sidewalk or on a road, what do they do with the blood? They have the fire truck people come out there and clean the mess up. Why? Because they don't want people to see the evidence. Okay? They could have absolutely done that for Nancy's house on the front of that house. And they should have. You do not leave evidence out for the general public to view. Period.
they're what we refer to in bloodstain pattern analysis as drip stains. And drip stains are probably the most common stains that we see, and they are what they sound like. They are blood dropping from an object and landing on a surface, and they have no energy associated with them. It's simply gravity pulling blood down and blood falling onto a surface. And notice I didn't say it means that somebody's bleeding, although very often that is what's happening. What could be happening here is that, and we're all assuming that is Nancy Guthrie's blood.
No, we know that.
Yeah.
We do know that. The sheriff confirmed it's hers.
Okay, right, because otherwise we'd be doing forensic genetic genealogy on that unknown blood. But what it means is that an object, most likely Nancy Guthrie, is the source of blood outside the threshold, right, so outside the door. But where it stops can mean one of two or even more things. One is that she is put into a vehicle. It is she or somebody sees that she's bleeding and then stops it, right? Puts a towel, puts a hand, does something to stop the bleeding. The other thing it can be is that she is repositioned.
That's what I was talking about right there.
And the repositioning changes the blood flow.
Well, that would...
And that concerns me because repositioning, you know, when you hear something like that, you're imagining a incapacitated or deceased person to reposition. You know, it just, it gives me the EBGBs.
Be really critical if we had a continuation, but we don't. My sources tell me that what you see is what you get, except for the stuff inside that I broke, you know, in this podcast. And that is that the blood droplets go down the outside entrance of Nancy's home and down the path and stop. No gap and then restart. So it just seems logical that that's where a car could easily park and that's where she could have been taken away.
Yes, and so...
And we're still very upset because nobody is addressing what has been found in Nancy's, behind the, here we go. The car. There's a car in the driveway. That's what's making it so hard for me to acknowledge that there's headlights behind it. It's like, how many cars do we have here? Do we have the one in the parking lot and another one driving around being a lookout? Because this right here looks like a newer vehicle. It looks like it could be a rental vehicle. Again, I'm still looking at Luke Daly as a possible suspect. What vehicle was he driving in between his wrecked car and his Range Rover? There had to have been a vehicle he was driving. You don't have a guy that has substance abuse problems that look like him that is going to be sitting at home twiddling his thumbs with his thumb up his butt. He's going to be looking for a score. He's probably going to be looking for substances. He's probably going to be looking to get out of his mind a little bit. I just don't trust Luke. I really don't. And nobody is talking about this elephant in the room. Nobody's acknowledging that there is a vehicle that appears to be sitting in the driveway of Nancy's home. Nobody has brought this up. Nobody. Everybody's looking at lights further down, and it looks like the lights could theoretically be coming from the construction home, not even a car. But this right here, nobody's willing to talk about, and this you don't even have to modify. You just have to blow it up, and boom, there it is. And still, after weeks of us talking about it, not one mainstream media person is even entertaining that there's a car in the driveway. And I just don't understand why. Are they not seeing it? Do they not see the wheels? I would like to hear what some professionals on, say, Nancy Grace or Ashley Banfield have to say about this. Because right now, nobody's talking about it that needs to be talking about it. And it's very concerning for me. It's very concerning for me.
Mom and pop companies are really natural? Yeah, not quite. Many of them have been bought out by mega corporations and private.
I don't think we're done. Where were we?
Of blood, which I think we'll say based on the post-injury. So in one sense, they're not very helpful in kind of helping us understand the incident
I know we already
itself.
Listened to this.
But where they do come in handy, if you will, is that they tell us who's going where, right? Who is the DNA profile, and where are the stains located. So having Ms. Guthrie's DNA on the inside of the threshold and on the outside of the threshold tells us something that seems fairly obvious, is that she's at the threshold of the house. But what's interesting is that If she's at the inside of the threshold long enough for the blood droplets to accumulate there, and she's also at the outside of the threshold long enough for all those blood droplets to accumulate there, there's an inference that we can draw. And there's a phrase that I use when I write reports and I testify called, or I say it's a not insignificant amount of time. And it's a period of time that's not momentary, but I don't know how long it is. But I know it's not insignificant. Right? She's there long enough for that blood to accumulate.
I'm glad you said that, because when I have an untrained eye and I saw it and I thought, these are very vertical. They're not moving quickly and coming in on an angle. We agreed with that too. And there are enough of them that this is a slow moving event. And I have been told by my source that the blood inside is exactly the same pattern as the blood outside. So the slow moving event started at least...
That does not sound good to me. That sounds like somebody that's dead, that's being moved. I mean, the way... Is that the kind of vibe you guys are getting? Or am I completely off base here? If that's the vibe you're getting, put a 1 in the chat. If I'm off base here, and maybe I'm just, I don't know what to think of this. Put 2. Put a 2. 1 and 2. That they keep emphasizing slow moving, like she's being drugged and just sat there while they clean something else up. In my opinion, the parked car is a family vehicle that was taken to be checked allegedly, but she might got into a vehicle that was coming from the construction site area. I don't know. We all are insomnia creatures around here. We are, Texas cowgirl. So 1, yeah. It does. It does. It does. It sounds like this woman was executed in her home. I don't know why, but this whole, I keep bouncing with the double suspects, and I know we've been talking about this hit aspect, this hit scenario, a hired hitman scenario versus the sexual assault scenario. There's just something in my gut that keeps bringing me back to the sexual assault. There's just something in my, I don't know why, but there's just something. He wouldn't be with a mask on at a random car, with a random car there. Not necessarily, because, first of all, I don't think he thought that there was a camera. And not only that, but that if it was like Luke Daly wouldn't have been in any vehicle he owned. She had a drink at Annie's house, I heard. A cocktail. Well, it might have helped her relax a little bit. I mean, she was definitely sleeping when she was attacked, it sounds like.
Where the blood is concerned, in that hallway. And so, as the investigator, is this somebody who's struggling to carry her, or she's struggling to walk and is walking slowly? Like, you tell me.
So, what I can say about the stains on the outside, and it would be hard for me to offer a well-formed opinion, because I would love to see the inside stains too.
Me
Wouldn't
too.
we all?
Yeah, it's like, are they a continuation, or are they two separate patterns? But what I can say about the outside stains is that there's one photograph, there's probably more than one, but there's one that I paid a lot of attention to, that essentially shows droplets falling in the same place. And you're getting this like secondary spatter.
Ah, interesting. So it's just drip, 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 drip.
And you see a lot of smaller droplets in the same area. And so we tend to see those when you have the source of blood in the same location for, again, a not insignificant period of time. So if the blood is in the same place where it's essentially dripping into itself, you get these tiny droplets.
All I'm hearing is, when they're describing this, is a lady in a frickin' just rolled up in a something. I mean, this doesn't sound good. What they're describing doesn't sound good.
Droplets that come from the now accumulating pool of blood on that surface. So you get these tiny droplets, appearing around the edge of this now expanding pool. And I say pool because that's what we call it, a pool pattern, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's large. But if you go back to that photograph, you'll see that around some of those drip stains, there's a slightly large.
That's bleeding pretty heavily. That's a lot of blood just dripping about. Could this be because she was wrapped up into something? I really do believe it's possible. But what they're describing does not sound good. And look how it's to the one side. It's not like in the middle. You know how like when you walk out the door, you don't tend to gravitate to one side. You usually walk through a door in the middle, no? I mean, I don't see many people going to the right or the left of an open door. They usually walk into the door in the center. And if you notice, all of this stuff is over to the left of that door. I don't know.
Larger stain that has tiny droplets around it, tiny spatter stains. And what that is, again, preliminary opinion by looking at these photographs.
And we absolutely know that the night that he was there was no Amazon package. So I think the Amazon package was delivered after they opened the crime scene.
Quickly, is that's blood falling into an accumulation of blood that's already on the surface.
So she's standing there for a period of time.
I would say, I can't say she's standing, but I can say the source of blood, which I think we'll say, based on the volume, is not an object with her blood on it, but it's her, is stationary.
It's stationary. He said he can't tell you that she's standing up. So again, this is not looking very good.
Is she standing? I can't tell you because I don't know where the injury is.
I'm glad you, by the way, let me just stop you there because I'm glad you just mentioned that. It's not an object with Nancy's blood on it. I hadn't contemplated that, but you do have to contemplate that if someone uses a weapon and is carrying the weapon out of the house. This is absolutely, in your opinion, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, this is absolutely not the pattern of an object with Nancy's blood on it.
I would say, given the volume that we're seeing here, and given, again, I haven't seen the photographs of the pattern inside, given that there's two patterns, one outside, one inside, it's highly unlikely that it's from an object because the pattern that comes from an object with somebody's blood decreases over time.
And not only that, you're not going to have that much blood on any item. I mean, even a knife that has bludgeoned somebody, it'll drip a little bit, but you're not getting that type of heavy blood pattern with a dripping weapon. So I agree 100%. He's making a lot of sense to me.
Right, there's a limit to how much blood you can have on an object. And so as a function of time, the distance between droplets increases because there just simply isn't enough blood, or there isn't more blood to continue dropping. So if a person is walking with an object that has blood on it, the distance between those droplets as the person continues to walk increases.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But
it does.
So again, you're having to look at the journalist's pictures, not the CSI photographs that you'd prefer. But you're seeing that Nancy was in a position for quite some time. This wasn't a slow-moving event out that front door?
I would say she was stopped at that threshold for, again, a not insignificant amount of time. Is that 30 seconds?
That's us. I don't like the way any of this sounds. This is pointless. We don't have any leads that went anywhere. I agree, Degee. As time goes on, we all know all past leads have not gotten anywhere. Yep. We can be theorizing for the next 2 years, like we have been on Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. You know, this is you're right. You're absolutely right. You know, this is awful. We're in a situation, but that's what makes this case so intriguing to a lot of people because it defies logic. And we're trying to make headway with this, but we just know if we keep talking about somebody with information, I always think of sales and marketing and stuff like that because, sales and marketing is kind of where I did come from. I was in real estate, insurance, just a lot of sales and marketing type of stuff. So I keep, going back to, marketing 101. I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's all about repetition. It's all about, speaking and saying it, multiple times, because like your clients, like when you got clients, you didn't just walk up to them and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I sell this. I want you to be my client. They're like, yeah, go get bent. We don't need any more of you. Right? But it took several touches. You got to constantly, anybody in sales knows what I'm talking about. Touches. You got to reach out and touch someone, right? You got to get belly to belly. And so I remember those types of marketing stuff. So what I'm trying to say is the reason why we're here daily is because we're hoping that somebody that's, on the fence, that knows something, right? That just repetitiously knows that they need to do the right thing, that maybe, just maybe, hearing it the 6th time or the 7th time, or maybe it's the 8th time they need to see it. Think about your marketing procedures, right? The people that you have for clients, they didn't come to you easy. You had to work it. You had to keep getting up there and talking about the same thing over and over again until they got it and they came aboard. And I feel like that's the same thing with these assailants. I feel like if we just keep talking, somebody will finally be empowered to come forward, because we know that the people are watching us. I truly believe the people are watching all content creators that are out there. I believe they're watching every bit of the news because they know what they've done, and they know they need to follow this because they need to know if they need to start being prepared for that knock at the door. So I absolutely believe the assailant is watching. The people out there is watching this channel, is watching the news, is very, very hyper tuned. And this is going to be a key factor to whoever this person lives with, because this person is not a true crime junkie typically. But yet they're paying extra close attention to this case unnaturally and abnormally. Do you have somebody like that in your household that's in the area of Tucson, Arizona? Is that same person, did that same person disappear the weekend of January 11th and the weekend of January 31st? Does that person have a Hispanic makeup or descent? Something that either brown or, because there's some really tan people out there, especially construction workers in 100-degree weather. So I don't want to exclusively say that this is completely Hispanic, but definitely brown skin. Somebody of darker color. We had a lady in here. She said, I'm black. This is not a black person. So I've got to trust her. So I'm white, and it's not a white person from where I can sit, but I don't know. It could very well could be. It very well could be somebody that's Middle Eastern. It could very well be somebody that's Eastern European. It could be a Heinz 57 like many of us are. I mean, we just don't know. We don't know. My Heinz 57 gave me, lighter brown hair and blue eyes. Somebody else's Heinz 57 might give them darker hair and darker eyes, but fair skin, right? Some people may have light hair and very, very, caramel skin. You just don't know. We can't even see the skin color, but we can make out the features. And out of everybody that I've spoken with and everybody that has seen this, could be Native, Italian. Yep, Riley's absolutely correct. Italian, which I believe Daly is. I don't know what Daly is, but I think he could be, because he's got the fair skin, so he could act white. He could, because of his dark hair and dark eyes, Hispanic. He could have some Hispanic lineage in him. I keep going back to Luke Daly because I see a hurt right hand, and now I know that he hurt his hand because his car wreck was before Nancy Guthrie's abduction or murder or homicide. And from everything I've learned is he hurt his hand in that car wreck. And yet we have an assailant with a hurt right hand on camera in front of Nancy's house. We got a man that has tattoos up and down his arms. We have a man that wrecked a car and bought a new car after Nancy Guthrie disappeared or was murdered. So what was he driving the night Nancy Guthrie, because he would not be in possession of that car today. What car was he using from the time he wrecked his car to the time he got his Range Rover? What vehicle was he driving? And nobody has been able to express or explain what vehicle he was driving during that time. So, yeah, but I think it's somebody with an olive skin tone and more. Let me just show you guys here. Let me take this off. And maybe it's the left side. Hold on, let me go back to the right side, turn the screen. I think it's this one. Hold on. There it is. So this was a renowned forensic sketch artist that did this. And as you can see, these features, they could resemble a lot of things, not just Hispanic. I think that you guys are right. This could show an Italian man. An Italian man would have this olive skin tone and the darker hair, the darker goatee. We've got Hispanic that could fit that bill. Indian could fit that bill. Persian could fit that bill. So I think that we're looking for somebody with these physical characteristics. And I think that everybody can identify that this, at least, I mean, we can't identify for everybody, but for me, I don't believe this person, well, I don't think any of us are white, we're not white. I mean, we have fair skin, but I looked in mine. I've got Eastern, I got Heinz 57. I've got Asian. I got like 0.00 or 0.01 Nigerian. I have Eastern European. I have a fair share of Eastern European in me, and the predominantly I believe I gotta go back to it, but I believe it was Ireland. I think the bulk of my makeup is Ireland. So I don't know. I've got a lot of stuff. Middle Eastern, in my opinion. And then it comes down, Lisa Boo, and then it comes down to the person that lived with her. That person would have, granted, I don't think this is a 66-year-old woman outside of her door, but we don't know what family members this lady had or if they came over to visit her or anything like that, because the lady that lived with her, she lived in the guest house, from what I understand, for about a year, from what I understand. I don't know what happened to bring this lady into Nancy's world, but I don't think Nancy would just let any person just camp out in her house. So is this somebody from her church? I mean, think about it, folks. I mean, who do you know that you would let live with you? To be honest with you, there's only a few people that I would allow to come and stay in my home, whether I have a home or a guest house. And it's got to be a very close person to me that needs some type of help. Maybe their house is being built, maybe, whatever the case may be. What was the situation with this person living at her house? Or was she there to take care of Nancy because Nancy had some surgery or an ailment? We need to get to the bottom of that, but we do have somebody with that darker skin color that lived there, and she is Persian. From everything we're learning about this, I think they call her Lisa or Tina, something like that. Famine, I think is what her name is. Famine Abanusi or Abanus. And from my understanding, she's Persian. And that means that most of her friends and family would be Persian. And it sounds like she lived on this property. Therefore, somebody would know the makeup of this property, how to move around this property, who visited her. We heard that there's a possibility that the detectives took all of her surnames and names attributed to her, this lady that lived with Miss Nancy Guthrie, to the gun shops and were asking about these people, these last names. So I just find it very interesting, to say the least. And I don't know what it means, but does this person look familiar to you? Does the behavior, the walk, even the positioning of his hand on his gun, that left hand on his gun that looks like it's positioned to be picked up by the right hand, which shows you that there's something wrong with the right hand. His right hand is hurt. And I think this pushes this right back to Luke Daly. And if it is Luke Daly, is that a police scanner in his pocket as opposed to a walkie-talkie? And does he have an earpiece for that police scanner? You know, it could be something. Someone lived with her. Yeah, she's a lady lived with her, and she invents medical devices or something like that. And she lived with Miss Nancy for about a year, from what I hear. She lived with her for enough time to change her driver's license to the house and to start getting mail at the house, because it's showing her as that being this lady's address. So the only way that this lady's would show up on this report for this home is if she changed her driver's license or received mail at this home. So from what we're hearing is she lived there for, I'm assuming, a year. That's what I heard. But Persian reminds me of Gypsy for some reason. Of a gypsy? Possibly. I don't know any of these people, and I'd hate to, to start saying that, oh, it's got to be this person or that person. I know it's not a 66-year-old woman outside that door, but could it be one of her families? Did they end on bad terms? Is this somehow retaliation for the falling out? I don't really think so. Like, I feel like that's so petty, and we don't have any proof that Nancy or this Famine, or whatever her name is, Abanusi, even had a falling out. They might have enjoyed living together, and Abanusi got her house built and is able to move into her mansion now, and was just staying there as a courtesy while her house was being built. No harm, no foul, for all we know. So I really would like to learn a little more, and nobody's really talked about it. Savannah Guthrie is not talking about, whether or not, it would really settle us down if we learn that Savannah either had a stalker or didn't have a stalker. If she didn't really have a stalker or somebody she knew, it might change our perspectives on what happened to her mom. But we're not hearing any of that. Maybe, just maybe, when they release this interview that she had with Hoda, maybe we'll find some more nuggets of information, of truth that we might be able to hold on to, or help talk about this case. At the end of the day, I think everybody wants to find out what happened to Nancy. I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to know who did this to Miss Nancy and put that person away for as long as we can put them away. This scares us. This scares every one of us. This is just unnerving. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. This story is unnerving to someone, to all of us. Being in the sanctity of your own home, the privacy, the safety of your own home, and somebody, some SOB comes into your home and gets you out of your own bed and takes you away forever. This is unnerving. I don't care who you are. So all we want is the most expedient way of getting this hyena, this animal, this monster off the road. We want to make sure that he has no ability to hurt anybody else again. For whoever did this, we're going to hunt you down. We're going to find out who you are, and we're not going to stop until you are 6 feet under. 6 feet under. The whole world is hunting you. The whole world. And I don't see any of us stopping until you are behind bars. So you might feel empowered today, but I promise you tomorrow, there's going to be a knock knock. You can only run for so long. You can only run for so long.
Is that 2 minutes? I can't say, but something's going on at that threshold long enough for that source of blood to create that pattern that I just described, where you had those satellite spatter stains. And, now the question is, well, what's the activity? In particular, when you think that she's being restrained in some way, whether or not she's standing and somebody's restraining her, or whether she's being carried, or whatever the thought is, what's happening in that moment while she's being restrained and those blood droplets are landing on that surface. Now, what you also can say is that there has to be a clear path from the source of the blood to the surface. So if, by way of example, if we believe that the blood is coming from her nose and her mouth, well, then there must be a clear path from her face.
I don't know if she's rich or not, but there's a number of things. The lady is about 20 years younger than Miss Guthrie, and we don't know why she was staying there. Again, it could have been a nurse helping Miss Guthrie. Miss Guthrie may have had a surgery, and she may have been staying there because she needed around-the-clock care. I mean, we don't really know. I'm just saying she was there long enough to have a record of her being at that home. So the only way I know that Truthfinder shows a mailing address is if you change your driver's license or you start getting mail at the address. So, I mean, I don't know, but I try to reconcile what could happen. And at the end of the day, I don't see Nancy just taking some hobo off the side of the road and bringing them home. So I'd have to think that they had some type of relationship. They were friends of some sort, But again, I don't know. You guys have as much information as we've got.
To the ground, right? So it can't be then dripping onto her clothing. It can't be hitting her pants.
Or
so
her legs as she may be is walking. It does. And by the way, to me, it looks as though this is
scary.
A clear vertical path without a lot of dynamic movement.
I think she was dead.
Yes. So the fact that the stains are circular tells you that the source is directly overhead, because as the source changes its orientation and it no longer is directly overhead, the shape of the droplets change. So we generally don't need to.
They know that because the droplets are round and just straight up and down, they don't have the teardrop angle on it. That shows that it's moving. It's just dropping vertically down, and that's what's giving it its circular splat. That's how he knows that these drips are not moving. They're sitting stationary. If they were moving, they would be oblong, and the oblong would show you the pattern that they're moving. We're not having that with this, okay? So that's going to always be a problem. She was standing or sitting or being strolled out and placed right there for a few moments while a lot of blood was coming out. I'm sorry. Everybody keeps saying that's a sneeze. I don't think that's a sneeze. I don't know how the hell somebody can sneeze and splatter just a little bit of, unless she was right over the ground, like she was, and sneezed. I don't see how that pattern would happen. What if for any reason something was smacked with the blood on it and sprayed the blood? I don't know. I've always said that one spot at that front doors bothered me. I don't know what it meant, and I even said that I don't know what it means, but I don't like it. Whatever it is, there's something that was forced. This is a spray. This is forced spray of blood. So I don't know what caused that.
Do this with drip stains, but in other situations you can actually estimate where the blood's coming from based on the shape of the stains. And in this situation, because we recognize them as drip stains and an overall drip pattern, we wouldn't need to do that. But in other situations, the angle of the droplets is critical for us.
And these don't look
events.
Yeah, these don't look like they have angle.
No, they don't. They're generally circular.
Which means it's a slow
drip
moving
drip
event, because you can't continue the movement without some kind of an angle.
Drip.
Yes, yeah. There's definitely the spacing of the drop.
You know what I'm seeing? Because everybody keeps saying tarp. You know how like when you roll something in the tarp and you get it and like it's full of something like even water or debris or something and you're trying to pull it like in a hand truck or a wheelbarrow or something like that and say there's a corner hanging over and as you're pulling it it's just leaking like you know what the best example of it is? The garbage bag. When you have a hole in the garbage bag and shit is leaking, right? And that's, you're holding that and it's just drip, drip, drip. As soon as you start moving it toward the door, those drip patterns become elongated because it sees your pattern because now you're walking fast. You got circular round drops because you pull it out of the garbage can and it's dripping. You're holding it and you're like, what's that noise? And you realize, oh, it's dripping right on the floor. So you have those nice circular patterns. Now you're taking it to try to run it out the door. And all of those circular patterns are no longer circular. They're oblong patterns. They look like little teardrops. And you can tell which direction you're running and how quickly you're running by the way the drops are elongated. So right here, you're seeing that these are just going straight down, drip, drip, drip. And I don't think she's just standing up with a nosebleed. Okay? I feel like she's being transported in something. And that's very, very concerning, which I believe if she's being transported in something, that it supports that she's already dead or dying as she's leaving the house.
Droplets is generally what tells me something about, the I'll say the speed of the event or the speed of the movement. It's two things, right? Because there's also a rate of blood flow. Right? How much is the person bleeding? That can also contribute to the spacing of the droplets. So you can see this quickly becomes a pretty complex, situation as you're trying to process all of these, not only the appearance of the blood stains, but what do the characteristics of those blood stains mean?
He's very knowledgeable.
In terms of investigative possibilities, in terms of, potential for injuries and where blood might be found later.
Hey, another quick note from my...
Okay, so then we go into, and then this is the last one. So we're hearing about the blood spots, and then we watched this yesterday, but I don't know if we watched this yesterday together or not, but I want you guys to hear the statements of this commissioner. I do want to tell you guys, it sounds like the commission did, or the supervisors did send a certified letter to Chris Nanos, Sheriff Chris Nanos, for this under oath meeting, interrogation, or whatever. I don't know what they call it, but in Chris Nanos has agreed to come and meet with them and answer their questions under oath. So but I do want you guys to hear why, because this is a Democrat, as you know. We've got a lot of political contention in this country, but, not always, okay? Back in the day, Republicans and Democrats still got along. It wasn't this cutthroat society that we're living in now, and I really hope that we get back to loving each other again and just having different ways of getting to the same answer, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we should all care about one another. That should be a top priority, right? It should be we take care of one another before we worry about political sides, and I think that this really embodies that, and it's just a breath of fresh air, and I'm really thankful that we do still have people that can be politicians and still think logically, right? And so this is just a real kudos to the community. Although we are on different sides of the aisle, I love normal people, okay? And this sounds like normal people. And this is what we like to see across this country. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to care about one another. And I think that this really embodies this. And I'm very, very thankful, you guys. This is a good guy, okay? I'm not going to say that he's a bad guy. He's not. He doesn't seem like he's a bad guy at all. Seems like he cares about his community. He cares about the people he serves. And those are the criteria we need, period. So let's listen to him.
I don't have it on me, but one of the quotes that came out of our sheriff on, I believe, February 3rd was in response to a lot of press interest, of course, with this high profile case. I'm not used to having people hang on my every word and holding me accountable for the things that I say.
That was awful.
Which is not reassuring. And very much, I think, representative of so much of his career in Southern Arizona in law enforcement, especially in light of the information we just received about how he came over here from El Paso 42 years ago and withheld his very troubling work history. He would not have been able, he's frankly, and one of the questions I hope, we'll see what the lawyers recommend, but certainly a question I would like to ask him is, okay, so somebody with 5 years work history in El Paso with 8 suspensions, 37 days total of suspensions, who came to your department today, what would you hire them for, if at all? I would love to know that answer, because the answer is he's not eligible with that kind of a record for any employment in the county, not right now. And I suspect that had those been who were involved with the hiring process back in 1984, I think it was, known about that very troubling work history, he would never have been hired, and he certainly would never have been certified through the AZ Post. That's the peace officer group for state of Arizona. Every person in law enforcement has to be have AZ Post certification. Like I have to have, I have to be a licensed medical practitioner to see patients as a physician, and so on and so forth. So that's just what law enforcement have to do in the state of Arizona. Same thing with every other state. He wouldn't be able to qualify for that, based on what we've learned, especially based on the fact that we just found out that he committed perjury, it appears, in a recent deposition. I can't remember the exact date, but it was in December of 2025. That's not 42 years ago. That is 3 months ago.
So as you see, this is a normal person giving his assessment as a normal person. You know, we can't be having our heads in the sand. We've got to be realistic here if we're going to keep everybody safe. And did she fly out the door? Why is there no footprint, smudges, marks, or blood drops? That's a great question. We think when we posed that to our audience weeks ago, it came back to people think that she was put over somebody's shoulder and walked out, and that would explain it. But we don't know. None of us really know.
And it's just unacceptable. It's tarnishing, and it really, you have to have honor and integrity, and you need to be held accountable for the things you do when you're in elective office, but especially when you are not only elected, but also the highest ranking law enforcement official in Pima County for the largest law enforcement agency in Southern Arizona. You have to be held to a much higher standard. So what I continue to be surprised by, I wasn't surprised nearly as much by the revelation that came from that Arizona Republic article about his work history as I was by the fact that it's been almost 2 weeks and we still haven't seen his letter of resignation, because that's the right thing to do.
So you mentioned that he was under oath, and was he asked about, have you had any previous suspensions? Is that what the question was?
Yes, that's right.
And he said no?
Correct. I will, if it's a little weird to do this on camera, sorry.
No, it's okay. I
primarily, it would have been like, I'm not a very good driver. Okay. So
oh my God.
Okay. Prior experience. Okay. Have you ever received discipline as a law enforcement officer? Yes. What was the nature or extent of the discipline that you received? Primarily, it would have been like, I'm not a very good driver. Okay. So I have a lot of car accidents, and, a letter for this or a documented verbal for that. Did you ever receive a discipline that rose to the level of suspension? No. That's from a deposition.
He was suspended several times, right?
8 times. He was suspended 8 times, and some of them we don't even know what it was for.
And then they go through all of those things as well. So we're here with Nancy Guthrie, Amazon Deliver, electrician, new leads. It is very interesting what is going on, but we're not going to get to this aspect of the talking points until later this afternoon. Again, later this afternoon, we will be going over this Nancy Gray stuff, so I hope you guys come back to the Bullhorn Betty channel as we continue to talk about Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old grandmother ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman Who is that masked gunman? We're on a hunt right now to find out where Nancy Guthrie is and who the masked assailant is. Today is day, I want to say 84. Is today 84? Day 84 is our 94, or where are we? What is our date right now? We are on, and this is not telling us, 54. I think it's 54. What is our date? Let's see what we've got. She usually puts her dates on these for some reason, and we're not seeing any dates on here. I thought she says day 54. Day 54, day 48. So I think it's day 54. Yeah, day 54. That's what it is. Day 54. Day 54. We're creeping up on almost 2 weeks, 2 months. Good gracious, I can't speak. But it's not my fault. You guys know I am exhausted. My sleep is all over the place. That's why we were live before 5 a.m. this morning. 5 a.m., 54, 55 days, Riley Roos says. It's been too damn long. That's what I know. It's been too damn long. If you guys would please do me a solid, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you guys are still here to the end of this show, on the replay crew, please consider hyping your old girl bets, okay? We'd like some hypes. We'd like some hypes. We'd like some of those thumbs. And also hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow. If you don't know where I am, bookmark me. Bookmark me, babe. We got the BBB going on here. Bookmark me, babe. I guess it bookmark me. So BMM. Bookmark me, babe. BMMB. I need to stop. I'm okay. I'm exhausted, folks. I'm very, very exhausted. My sleep's been all over the place over the last week. I'm exhausted, but we've got to work sometimes. So I decided to come to work early today. I'm missing my meeting that I'm supposed to do with the county today because I'm not feeling it. So I will be here. I'm going to go back, try to go to sleep for at least an hour, try to get some shut-eye for about an hour or so. And then we'll be back up and running around 9 o'clock. Again, I'm not going to my meeting. I was going to call in for, future agenda items. I'm not doing any of it. I'm exhausted. I'm at my cap for the week. I'm at my bullshit level for the week. So we're just going to roll with Nancy Guthrie today. We've got some updated information for other things as well. Oh, thank you, Rose. 2 months member, because I'm a love machine. Ow! Ow! Let me see what we got.
Time for the charm bomb to explode.
Time for the charm bomb to explode.
I'm the Sasquatch Kid! No, wait, Burger Butt! No! Babe Squatch!
Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
I'm done pushing your buttons. You guys have a great day. We'll be back soon. God bless.